Painting in the winter can really be a challenge. Not only are our studios and painting areas colder than usual, but our paints can also dry quicker than usual. If you follow any of my painting videos, you know that I like to use an open medium in my paints, and I like to use an extender medium. I'm originally an oil painter, so I paint with acrylics in much the same way, using many of the same techniques that I used as an oil painter. But this winter in particular, my palette has been drying out so quickly, and it's really been a frustration. So I went searching for what can I do to help this problem. What I found is a really magic little solution. This week, I ordered this really cute little humidifier. When I got it in, I have to admit that it was a little bit smaller than what I expected, but it's turned out to be absolutely perfect. So today I'm going to share with you a couple of tips about it, a few little shortcomings and ways that you can manage those. So let me go ahead and turn on the palette camera and I'll show you more about this fun little tool that I have. So here's my glass palette. I have a 12 by 16 glass palette. I love the glass palette. If you'd like to see a video about how I set up my palette using the open medium, I'll put a link to that video here. And I'll also link how I cover my palette so that it's ready to go every time I come down to the studio. But this little humidifier has really made such a difference and made painting a little bit more fun again. I didn't realize how much I was struggling until I got this fun little toy. So the little humidifier, one of the drawbacks is that the lid really slides on and off very easily. So if you have dogs or cats like I do, just be aware that if it gets tipped over, it will spill. This yellow spill that you see on my palette is from my dogs hitting the cord yesterday and knocking it over. The nice thing is it doesn't have a whole lot of water in it. It's pretty easy to clean up. The second drawback is that it comes with this tiny little cord. And it really just wasn't workable for the plugs that I have available. I needed a longer cord. Thankfully, I have a very tech husband who's got lots of cords laying around. This is a regular USB to USB-C cord. So if you don't have any of those lying around, you might want to get a longer one just so you don't have to have your computer or a USB plug close by. So let's go ahead and talk about how it works. It has a little power button right to the side. So if I push that power button once, it comes on with a steady mist. If I push it again, it has an intermittent mist. And this mist really is what I used most of the day yesterday as I was painting. I found that it kept the area more humidified than normal. It kept my paints much easier to work with. The mixes that I have stayed very workable. One of the problems with acrylic paints and what I was fighting with was every time I would come back to my mixes, I'd have little dried areas that would, of course, get picked up on the brush and then put onto your piece. And it just is frustrating to have those little chunks go into your paint. If you push that button again and long hold it, it has these fun little lights, not really helpful, but fun to have on your palette. So you can see how it really sets on my 12 by 16 palette. I could move it off to the side if it's in the way here, but it really was easy to work with. I also didn't I was worried that it was gonna be introducing too much water to my paints. I like to be able to thin out my paints when I want a thinner wash, but I also like to be able to have the thicker paints for some of the final layers. And I really did find that the moisture it was adding wasn't too much to make my paints puddly. If you're painting for a very extended day in your studio or in your paint space, you might find out that you just need to reach over and turn it off. And then as you start to feel things thicken up, you can always turn it back on. So I hope that this video helped you. I will put a link to this humidifier in my description here of the video. So if you'd like to grab one, you can sure do that. I really think that if you've been struggling at all with your paints drying too quickly, particularly on your palette, that this little tool will really help you.